we'll probably do next stream Minecraft will maybe be in like a week. Again, I like to do other games, but specifically I love Minecraft, but it does take a bit to get everything, you know, built. See, it's all by myself. Um, and I don't have any Axiom or mods, so I don't have a way to build faster. So today our mission is to get this last two fields done, but also get the village, the what do you call it, the outer village done. Um, so yeah, we have got then pretty much most of this done. Um, along here, this is done. Just in case you guys missed the last episode, but this is done. So so the village is going to have a bunch of these houses, and that's about it. It's not going to be big. It's going to be like maybe six um, houses. I did decide to build a little stables because I saw this area and I felt it a bit. I felt it's a bit empty, so that's why I decided to you know um, build. I was thinking originally it was going to be a windmill, but I didn't want it to be a windmill, to be honest. And so we got seats, you got saddles, and then you got I do here, which is I think he's asleep. Yeah, he should be in there. Yeah, so he's in here, and then yeah, um, and then he has to do it out it because that means the zombies can't actually get in there because this here is a door, but it's a trap door, so they won't actually. So villagers can't open trap doors, but also zombies won't actually attack it because it's not actually a door. They'll only attack doors. So naturally, if I keep this closed, they won't be able to get in there and how to get in there. And this here is a back door. They won't be able to get in there either. So it solves two problems with one stone. So yeah, so this is a big area. Um, so I starting to regret having that as a main bit, but it's still way too late. So we're definitely getting. My plan is this here is to make this at least where the wall for this village is going to be, and this all here is probably just going to be a field, some sorts. So that's our plan. So right now we'll just get with these trees and actually mark out the wall before we start that with field. We could have this have like we could make it a bit different. This one, we don't want it that same. We could make it where it has um, a field in itself. Because our one doesn't have like our one has water, but yeah, I don't find it nice having this as water. We could just make it where yeah, we could put well we need at least things. So what we could do is in some way that we could make this a flower field, to be honest. Which wouldn't be bad, and then actually splitting off these two with two different fields. That might be a better idea. Yeah, we'll do that. I know I was going to do a field here, but I think doing a field of flowers is going to be one quicker, but two, it's going to look not, I guess, not nicer, but more, it's going to look different. What do you call it? How do I explain it? It's going to look better. Now, I don't want this to be a tall flowers, to be honest. This baby. I don't know what this is, guys. I really don't. Yeah. Oh, right, okay. I think this is what we're going to put here. I'm going to put some umbrella. I think that'll be nice. Because I'm also trying to contrast the colours of the flowers. So we could put like the Bailey to around. Actually, let me get this path and continue it. We could put two different type of flowers here. Actually, nothing about Bailey, and then we could put something like yellow and then something like maybe pink. Maybe. And then also, well, I have worked out with the maps. So, so that's where our second village is, and then this is where this village is. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a village up in this section up here, all right? And then we're going to build a village in this section, here and here. Then once we build the villages, we're going to build outposts, which is going to be this. I'm just going to look at some outposts online and see what I get an idea of them. And we're going to build one at least somewhere here, somewhere, one up here, one down here, one down here. The idea of the outposts are going to be like things for soldiers, basically. That's what they are. They're just outposts. They're not going to specifically have people. They're not going to be specifically living spaces like villages, but I'm going to put like space there where we can put actual beds, so it doesn't feel empty. The actual outpost, which is the thing which we're going to try and do, because I don't want this thing is I don't want this world to feel empty, and so the best way to do that is to add as many villages as possible. That's the main thing. So yeah, if there's a way where I could make them the villages, what do you call it, infinite, will have infinite health, that would be good. But yeah, so, and this is specifically the reason why, because outside it, if you don't have villages it does look really dead. And this is why I try to add as much villages as possible, because coming into here, if there was like, if I put like one village per house, like the only areas have beds is that area and this area for villages, specifically for wandering around. And so that's why I put so many. And so that's why I make it so it feels so alive, because the more villages you have, the more it does feel alive, and that's the whole point. This whole, oh, how did that get there? It's weird. But as I said, this whole area is meant to look very busy, and that's why I try to get it as very busy, and that's why I put so much villages. So the outer villages, I'm not going to try and make look actually be honest that busy, because the outer villages, so it doesn't need it. Um, so yeah, so this is the whole point. So the Ubao village here, this area does feel a bit dead, but that's because it's a big barn. The main point is that the main village does look so much more alive, having a ton of villages wandering around. And it's amazing the kingdom, because the kingdom, there's going to be at least 20 um, beds in each building. In each house, there's going to be at least 20 beds. Because the building's going to be massive. But as I said, that there is a big barn, but probably like that there is going to be the smallest house. So I want to put like a ton of villages in those houses. Like, yeah, I know, and I know it, realistically it wouldn't make sense, but it's to make it a whole thing to feel alive. And that's with every building, and that's why the wars. I'm not going to specifically try and rave at the wars, but I'm definitely in the castle. Gonna put beds um, in hidden spots. Um, you know, I'm probably gonna put um, homeless people because every kingdom will have homeless people, so it is supposed to just build little sections outside of the buildings where homeless people would go. I do like the different colours on this Bailey. It's darker and something not darker. But specifically, I am definitely gonna make it all the fields. The reason why I didn't want to do it here because there are villages, so I do want to, you know. But the kingdom, I do want to make it feel alive. So the best way to do that is to have a bunch of fields, definitely. Um, but have it where, well, example, the barns, the fences are going to be pretty, the area of the animals are going to be pretty big. It's going to be a lot more animals in there. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it, but I do want, I'll probably do it for some fields, or have a composter for some fields, um, but not all. That seems a bit weird, but big massive fields won't have composters on the field. They won't. And that's the main reason why didn't really put things on the fields is because they don't have them. So technically, what I can do is I might experiment. I might see if I put like on another well, if I put a villager, and if the fields are away from, if the composters are a certain distance away from the fields, the villagers won't actually change the fields. Or I could just put um, I could build wells in. I could build wells in the field or build houses. Um, I could and just but that's like it's going to take a bit because again, I don't really have again. I don't think putting villages on fields is going to make it feel is going to make the kingdom feel alive. I think it could, to be fair. Would actually make it feel more. I know. I'll experiment. I'll see if I can see because the problem is that if I get a villager and then he dies, it's not going to work out. And the thing is that real life, in real times, they won't have the lanterns set up on the fields. They got, you know what I mean? So even that, like that, even that, like, then that's one of the main reasons why I didn't want to put composters up in the fields is because I own the villages, but it's because in real life they won't have lanterns in the fields. So No, I wanted. I guess some bone meal. We grow that. All right. I'm thinking of. So you got yellow, light blue. I do think a good old orange. I've never actually. It's not tall. Vinegar in the water. I think for that. All right. Let me double check this. What? What are they? Okay, that's weird. We could do pink, but we got pink. Maybe torch. Nah. Let's do a different. So this orange. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're going to do torch for that. I think torch for that will be perfectly fine. Nah, because let's do actually instead. I think the cooler one would be just these. Yeah, yeah, I think that'll be it. The reason why is because they're pink, but also they're cool. So we're gonna. Mate, if you enjoy this sort of content, let me know if you like these long content plays. Um, if you don't, well, this thing is, this channel's not going to be. Most people that focus on one specific game typically get very consistent views. So I don't think I want my channel to be about that. I'm like just happy to put mixed game, any sort of game on, even if it gets real good. The whole point is I want my channel to be a variety, so I want people to be able to see what games they want, because the thing is, when you do one game constantly, it does get repetitive and it does get boring. So that's why I mean, like, my aim is to get as much games on my PlayStation as possible, and but put them on your speed, like a storage one. I want to have different genres, So I'll download all the shooting games onto one of the things, and I download all the Swagos on. And the whole point is to that if so, the whole point is that if we can have, I can play like there'll be maybe 30 games we can play on it, which I can play off with one game. I can play. The whole point is that we can play a different game every week or every day, hopefully. Not in the sense of every day, but in the sense of we can play one game and then we have so many games we can be at least 2 or 3 weeks before we play that game again. Right, and this is the thing, like when you have no views, this is the time to get freedom, but at the same time is that people want to watch certain content, and that's fine. But at the same time is that I notice a lot of creators give a lot of freedom to their viewers, and I think it get. I'm not trying to be mean or cruel, but I don't. But I think it's a bit too much. At the end of the day, it's it's not your channel, but at the same time, you guys deserve good content. And I think that giving the channel so much room to, the viewers, I'm not saying you can't, I'm not saying no, I want to get competent in that. I'm just saying that, you know, to the point where you guys want to need to play one game constantly. That's the point where it's like, I won't do that. The two main reasons why, because there are a lot of people out there which don't like that game, but like other games. And it'll get to the point where, if I'm streaming and I have enough people, I will do a poll. And I'll put 4 games on there, and then we vote what games we want to play for an hour, for like an hour, or 2 hours, or, for like an hour, or two, every two, for like 2 hours. And the whole idea is that, you know, you guys pick a game you want to watch, and then we play it for an hour, and then if you guys continue with one still play it, I'll put a poll up and say yes, we'll still play this game, and if you guys go no, we'll still change the game. But we're not going to be like, I play a game, start playing again, and you guys want to change something. No. Whatever you guys pick, that's what we'll be doing. Okay. So I like that a lot. And I'm glad we did flowers, to be honest. I actually do like having how we have this field all actual crops. Yeah, that was my mistake. I put carrots in that section, not wheat. Yeah, it was done by me. This is the actual carrot section here. So yeah. Um, and the reason why, other two reasons why, because the other one other village doesn't really have this sort of war idea because it's, not on a hill, but two, it's like, the village doesn't have that. But the idea is that I want to keep this sort of idea that it's, like this. So it's, has levels to it, like this. This has levels to it. Well, sort of levels. It has a stairwell which goes all the way around. But that's the whole idea. So that's why I've done it like this. Um, but yeah, so now we're going to get this war in and try and figure out how we want to do it and what is the sort of war we're going to go for. We could follow that, which we are, but we're going to make sure that it's, makes a bit wider, you know, not too much on the sharp side. We'll bring this back in, actually, now I think about it. Perfect. I just had a really mad thought. Um, I knew I do talk about Christianity a lot. But Revelation says they're getting Christ. Now, the idea is that it's everyone who's aligned with Christ. Most people say believe, but that's not true. It's anyone who actually alive in Christ. So that would be everyone. That means that would be every single child. Just imagine that. There'll be actually more children than actual adults when that's mad. And yeah, yeah. I think that's insane. And the other thing too, when people think about the millennial, well, they think it's gonna be all sunflower thing. It's not. It's not gonna be all sunflowers and sunshine. And this is the reason why, because every single like thing which people are hitting or doing won't be what do you call it. For example, there'll be certain things like say, living a homosexual lifestyle. That will be most likely tolerated. But still, God won't, let it go. He'll just let, things go up. And then, but there'll be certain things where it will just stop. Like, you think about, like, abuse to children, gone. Abuse to people, gone. Um, you know, all gone instantly. Because that's the thing, people feel like Jesus is going to come down, but it's not just Jesus. Jesus will come down, but it's also his angels. So all the angels will come down, Jesus will come down, and every single person, you know, every single, victim or every single or every person or every say child, being victimized will be will be met by a angel. But it's for it then that, and then all the children who have died would be risen first, and then the millennium will happen, the and then all the dead in Hades and that will be um thing as well. Will be so that's the thing. Like there's no children in Hades or, but at least from under 13. Um, but depending on their awareness, there are some things where it's just like no, that could no, like you. But yeah, they're at least under 13 or under that. It'll be so cool. Be insane. So that's the thing. The dead will rise, and then everyone alive will rise with the dead, and then Jesus will rule for many 1,000 years, and then he'll let Satan out, and then Satan will bring an army. And I don't think that these people will actually be Christian, like people who are Christian men, right? I think these people will be actually people who are hard in the heart. Because Jesus is not going to kill people who are hardened. He probably won't, but what he'll do, he will stop them. There'll be certain things where he won't allow, like he won't allow, um, that's the thing. Like I explain, there are certain things where, well, think about it. How do I explain it? Um, if you look at, I'm trying to figure out how you would explain it. Um, it's actually ugly. I'm like, oh, right. But how do I explain it? I don't, pretty sure I don't think that the people when Jesus let Satan out of his chains, I generally think that the people who will turn will be people who are hardened. But I don't think those people who are hardened are going to be people which have been risen from the dead. I don't think it doesn't. The thing, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that the people risen from the dead won't be deceived. It says that Satan will deceive people and bring up an army. But naturally, I do not think that it's going to be specifically like. That's the thing. Like, it's very interesting because, like, children have. I'm not being mean or hard, but people got to be. Most people have to be aware, and some of most parents are delusional. Like, kids don't have good awareness. They have really bad awareness. So, and this is what I mean. Like, this is why things having children, and it's so easy to get to. It's so easy for them to get to them because it's not their fault. Which it's not their fault, but the fact is that children do have a lack of awareness, and that's what they use. And just most parents are just so unaware. Like, I'm so unaware. But I can't wait. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so cool. The thing which I can't wait is to see how many children are going to be raised up from the dead. That's what I can't wait to see. But the thing, the Bible doesn't say that Jesus won't kill unbelievers. He doesn't say that. He says he's going to rule, and rule means by justice. So if you do wonder when Jesus returns, who is he going to if he does kill, who will he kill? You just got to go and look at the Old Testament. The Old Testament and the New Testament gives you an idea that gives you an idea that it gives you the idea on who that I suppose it gives you an idea of who God thinks deserves to live and deserves to not live. That's what it gives you an idea. And plus, there'll be a lot of people might try and scare you guys, but there will be people who haven't repented of certain things, and Jesus will have no tolerance for it. And trust me, tolerance is something which there's a limit. And most people don't realize that when Jesus comes, Jesus, the Father, and the Spirit have reached their limit, has reached their tolerance level. And that's exactly the judgment. That's when people realize that when you are doing judgment on people and you haven't done it, it's because you're being tolerant. You're being patient, you're being tolerant. But once that goes, or once the judgment comes, his tolerance not there anymore. I would be tolerant to believers. He will be tolerant to repent, but if there's like a pedophile and he's doing the act when Jesus comes and he hasn't repented, there'll be a high chance that he says that everyone will confess, but just because he confesses doesn't mean that he won't kill. Well, I do think that Jesus, when judgment comes, God has reached his tolerance level, and there'll be a lot of people who did a certain thing and haven't repented from it will be like it's not the first time either. God has sent angels down to kill people. It's not like a new thing or a something which is never happened before. He has sent down in the old and in the Old Testament, specifically in the old, which is old, but he has actually sent down angels to kill people. And then also, he's also sent, and he's also in the New Testament, he was going to set, he was going to, we're pretty sure I'm not correct, but the Father was going to send down 70,000 angels to kill humanity for killing his son. But Jesus said no. I'm pretty sure. So, like, that's the thing like people don't, which I think people don't realize is that God at judgment, God has reached his tolerant level, and when God has reached his tolerant level, you don't want to be in that sin, which is going to be something that you hate, and the one thing he hates so much and has no patience for it is abuse of children. That's verbally, physically, sexually, any sort of abuse. He hates it. He hates it. So I think that if there are, I do think that people who are abusing children any of those sort of ways and don't repent from it, even when Jesus returns, yeah, there. And that's the thing. The thing is that again, just because people confess doesn't mean they want to be ruled over. There will be still people who will hate Jesus and not listen to him and will do it. But again, they won't. But again, they won't be doing. For example, a pedophile won't be doing pedophile things specifically Jesus here because if he did, he know the consequence and he know what could happen. He knows what most likely will happen. I could be wrong, but yeah, people don't realize that. And then also, anyone who's captive when Jesus returns will be let free. Um, anyone in British ship will be let free. Well, that's the thing. Like, people don't realize that when it says his will, there's going to be so many things going to happen. And that's what I mean. Like, if a person has kidnapped kids or abusing people, minors, and that, or even sex trafficking, for example, when God returns, He will know, and He will know, and He will not. Well, if they're doing it freely, which is very hard, which doesn't happen. But say if there's like a 20-year-old and she's doing it freely, different. But if they're specifically not doing it for free and they're forced to do it, those people who are doing it, oh man, like if you know someone who's doing it and they're still doing it when Jesus returns, you should say your last goodbyes. That's all I want to say because again, Jesus is not going to tolerate it. He's not going to tolerate it, and that's the biggest delusion I see where people think that Jesus won't kill when he returns, at all. It's the biggest delusion I see. Jesus will kill. He hasn't stopped him before. His mission, he has a different mission when he comes down, and that's what most people don't realize. Is that his mission when he came first was to fulfill the Old Testament and die for our sins and offer a way for salvation. That's what his mission. His next mission is to bring God's ruling, and that's also his justice. That's the thing. And people be like, oh, he won't do it. But no, he let a bear kill 40 children. And maybe the reason why is that I don't know, but as I explained to my video, is that when God knows the future, and if he saw those 40 children not coming to him, and he saw a bear, which obviously he didn't send, but the bear has free will. War animals have free will. That um, that aspect that they're going to reject him. Why would he? Why would he stop it? Why would he? Why would he stop a bear? Why get me like if you knew that they were gonna be evil, or you knew they weren't gonna be evil, but you knew they're not gonna come to you, and then you saw a bear, and you knew that there was afterlife, and you knew that there is heaven and hell, and you knew that what happens, and you knew that if you let them live, they'll go to hell, but if you let them die now, they'll go to heaven. If you saw that, would you really stop it? No. If I knew that they were going to go to hell in the future, like I said, if I went back in time and I saw Hitler as a baby, I would kill him straight up. And and people were like, "That's unloving." It's not. It's not. If I knew Hitler was going to do all those horrible things because he was being deceived by and he was being deceived by Satan. But if I knew he was going to do all those horrible things to today's people, I knew he was going to obviously bite it. Oh, it's going to leave. That's more actually unloving than killing him as a baby. It's more loving killing him as a baby because it's going to save 6 million people, but it's also going to allow him to go to heaven. And that's the same with those children. And this is what I mean. The reason why God doesn't really specifically, main reason why God allows children to die is because he knows that with that that's the thing. When there's children in these horrible things and they die, um, he knows that if they die, they're gonna go, they'll go to heaven no matter what. Um, but that's the thing. There are a lot of things in the Bible suggest that. Well, I do think that only salvation is through Christ only, but I don't think that. I think people tie salvation to the sense of to the cost of title. If you don't believe the cost, you're going to go to hell. I don't think that. I think that salvation, I think the cost mechanism was the main purpose of it. What I mean by that is that that the cross allowed judgment that judgment to be passed over to Jesus for you. That's all it was, Will. That's the whole point of it. But that's the whole point of it. The point of it is to allow judgment to pass over to Jesus. That was the whole point of it. And so you got things like the hounds of heaven. There's so many things, and this guy did a whole live stream of it. But I don't, and it's sort of like this thing too with when you look at the English, they specifically in English Standard Version, they choose forever or eternity. And the thing about it is that it's very interesting because the Hebrew doesn't suggest that. It can suggest that, don't get me wrong, but it also cannot. The Hebrew really describes times. One of them, I'm pretty sure in Hebrew, forever, one meaning of the word, that word is a end in a view to no end, or a end not in sight, or something along the line that it's like, I think it says a view which a view with no end in sight. I think something like that. And so it's like this. Something if you look at the Hebrew, what the Hebrew specifically means, the Hebrew can mean these things, the meaning of the word. So, and the reason why I say you should always look at the original language, because I'm not saying that English language is, not valid. I'm saying that the English language is still guided by the Holy Spirit, but again, it's like the Hebrew in that. And I think that, because again, if forever can also interpret as, it feels like forever, or, or it seems forever, or it is forever. But forever in terms of, this is forever. I could say like, oh mate, this thing is forever, even though I know it's not forever. Like say if I'm doing 8 hours work, I'll say, oh mate, this day is forever, or this is going to be forever. Like, my goodness, this is forever. It's not saying forever in that sense. It's saying it feels like forever, or in a different sense. So I do think that English shouldn't be chucked out. I'm not saying it should be. I'm saying that English does, the Hebrew can offer a difference. So why I interpret that with it is that there will be people in hell forever. Because I do think the Holy Spirit, because the English guided, the Holy Spirit guided the English version. We got to agree with that. Yes, there's really, like, the worst one you can go is NIV. I don't think, people had a good idea of that one. But mainly you should use King James Version. I basically go the English Standard Version. But the whole point is, what I'm trying to say is that, um, the Hebrew offers two ideas, and you can go and look at it yourself. But I offers two ideas. It offers a forever sense and a sort and a not forever sense. And so when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, we got to look at it is it can describe forever, but also can mean not forever. So it's more like I interpret like this, and this is not me trying to add things or force something there. I'm just looking at it and look at what the English people have picked and understand why they've picked forever. And I understand that forever can mean those two things which the Hebrew offers. So I do think that there will be people in there forever, and I do think that there will be people in there for not forever. That's what I think. And that's why I think that punishment. Because the thing is, the main thing which I struggle with is that it's say the punishment will be different degree, and you got parables how Jesus describes it specifically with the master and this, that. But the other thing is, okay then. But then the other thing is like, well then, if it's forever for every single one, it doesn't really matter how the degree is. You get what I mean? Like, if there's certain things which always, if there's, I think that, the sins you do, yes. And I think, what's in the light you gave. And I think that there's certain sins, like, example, if like a pedophile, they probably get a higher punishment, murder. I think if you look at it, there's certain things, different sins, which have the same punishment. For example, rape is death. Murder is death. Abortion is punishable by death. What's that? Um, 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 you know, sleeping casually is not punished by death, but in our judgment, but is punished by the man by forcing that he has to marry her. So there's like, they all have the same eternal punishment, but they have the same different degree on earth. And I think I think that's exactly what's going to happen. That if it's different degrees, like Jesus used parables,
they can't be in there forever, because then there's no point there for the degree. You get what I mean? Some people are like, oh, but different degree, that's the point. It's like, well then, if that's the point, there's no point for the different degree if they're all going to be in there forever. You can't actually, that's the problem. If they're all in there forever, it takes the point of the degree away. If they're not in there forever, so the severity still has a point. The severity still has a point that people will be there in there forever and be punished for their sins forever, but there's certain people who won't be in there forever, but will be still punished for their sins. That's the point. And so I don't think that. And so I think that, and the other thing too is that if you look at it too, it says strikes. He's using the master of the strikes, and it shows the strikes are. It specifically shows a different degree of strikes, but also shows a degree of numbers. So if you look at it, if there's a different degree of numbers of strikes, that means most likely in hell there'll be a different degree of the time or the punishment, but also time. So the people who knew they're going to get the max time and the max punishment, and the people who don't know they will get the max. They won't get the max time or the max punishment. So I think that there's people who didn't know or hasn't being revealed by the light, because most children aren't really revealed by the light. Most children don't have that. Or we never got a chance to. They will have a different degree of punishment, but also a different degree of. They'll have a different. They'll have a different degree of time. They won't have a max sentence compared to things. So I think that the max sentence of what English and Hebrew shows, the max sentence is. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying this is what I've looked at, what I've noticed, and I'll always like to, talk about ideas. It's always good to talk about ideas. If someone says to me, it's wrong, talking about it, things, ideas. Um, it's not wrong talking about ideas, but when you say it's like, when you start teaching it, and saying, oh, this is true, and that, it's like, it is me. If I basically these ideas, the reason why I can't teach it, because I don't find it way sense. I don't find it grounded. And not saying I'm doubting. I'm just saying that I have to basically, I have to accept that one, most people won't like it. Two, that it's two that it's this idea I have based on scripture, which I look at and notice. Um, so, but it's not in the sense that the scripture says, in the sense of, oh, it's that what I'm saying is that I'm taking the words which describe hell and describe specifically judgment and punishment. And when I look at the Hebrew, it offers two meaning. And then I'm looking at what the parallels with Jesus mentions, and the most one is the one with the master and the slaves. And he shows that the slaves with get punished, but also shows that the ones who didn't know gets punished. But he shows that the people who knew gets a max punishment. that's the number of strikes. And that's also that's also the sentencing, which is, yes, you get a number of strikes, that's sentencing. But the person who didn't know gets fewer strikes. So no matter what, Jesus almost makes two distinctions, or three distinctions. One, the people who knew gets a max sentence or the max judgment. That's with the max number of strikes. So that'll be the max number of time of strikes and time in general. Because when you strike something, it's going to have time. So you're going to be in max time and max strikes. Then he makes another distinction, is that the person who didn't know gets less strikes and less time of strikes. And then the third distinction he makes is that what was the third distinction? How do I do it? What's the third distinction? Oh my god, I'm so dumb. What is the third distinction I made? Well, we made two distinctions. And the very third distinction, he doesn't. That the main third distinction he makes is that the person who didn't know doesn't get the same punishment, and so that would be in hell as well, a judgment and punishment of the judgment. People who didn't know are not going to get the same number of strikes, same punishment of strikes or punishment of the degree, but they're also not going to get the same amount of time. So the people who fully knew God but still chose evil are going to get the max time and punishment, and that will be like incestuous traffickers, rapists, abusers, pedophiles. They're going to get the max time and the max punishment. People who didn't know the light, like, get me wrong, like, you don't need, get me wrong, like, if someone didn't know the Bible but still choose pedophilia, they're still going to get the max punishment. Because they knew it was wrong. They knew it was wrong. They did. And so they have the accountability on there. They have the accountability. So just because you don't have Christ, it doesn't mean, so just because someone's not going to have the light, that's because one pedophile and another pedophile is not going to have the same light as the other, same as rapist, doesn't mean that they aren't going to get the same degree of punishment. They're going to get the same degree of punishment. So that's what they're going to get. Because as soon as they get to a certain age, it's marked in the heart, and accountability, no matter what, if you do or not, is still going to be there. Two, well, no, the other thing, which, is, which he makes a decision of, but no, and so then the other thing too is like, and then other thing too is that that means, you know, that means I'm not saying, well, and I do, and that other thing too is it's what you chose to, and that's the thing, like, any word for using masters, it doesn't mean what he's trying to show, and but people could argue, oh, that's wrong because it's master. But the point of the master is to show, the point of the master is that he is the master. The master is God, and the servants are us. You have the servants you have servants, which are us, and you have the master, which is God. The master has things to do. We are the slaves. You have people who choose to disobey, and someone who doesn't choose to who disobeys without knowing. That's what you got. That's the only two disobeys. Someone cannot obey and disobey at the same time. That's the point. Yes, you can say, oh, Christians sin. Yes, Christians sin, but they're not disobeying in the sense they're doing it against God. They're doing it because of flesh. When you do something, and well, if I did something which I just said to my parents and I disobeyed them. But then I said, I'm sorry. Yes, I disobeyed, but not in the sense I disobeyed completely. I disobeyed. I did acts of disobeying or acts of disobeying. What I mean by that is that people could act in a disobeying. What it can do an act of disobeying, but it doesn't mean that they disobey in their heart. And that's what the slaves. That's what the Jesus Christ showed the slaves. You have the slaves who did it in their heart and kept doing it, and then you have people who didn't know but were unaware and did it. And then that's the point. The point of God's trying to show is He's showing that you got because God, in a sense, He knows that when Christians sin and they repent, God doesn't see them as disobeying. He sees them as I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure He sees them as still a servant. A Christian can sin once in a while and feel sad and repent of it, and still be counted as a servant of God in God's eyes. But when you have a Christian who sins, I don't have a solo and keeps sinning, / the servant you knew, and they're just again, servants are weapons to Christians, they're weapons to non-believers as well. So in everyone knows in their heart that God is real. They just choose to believe. So they know in their heart. So you got and that's the thing. The slaves who disobeyed know in their heart that they have a master. But that's chosen anyway. And that's the thing. The people who continuously chose and knew to disobey, they will get max punishment and max sentence. Because they constantly chose to disobey the master and then knew it was thing. I know specifically look because it might be specifically tied to in the sense of what they did too. But I'll look at it that verse. But that's the main point of it. The main point of it is that you have the people you didn't know will get a lesser punishment of stripes, and that would be also because the thing is, if it's eternity, you're gonna get the same amount of stripes, no matter what, and they can't. And that's if there's a number less of stripes and a less of punishment, what's the degree of punishment? And God describes this punishment of sin as death. So it's like, well, what is, and if it's death, what's the degree then? Because if the punishment of sin is death, then there's a problem. If the punishment thing, what's the degree of it? You know what I mean? But yeah, that's what I find it is like, if there's a degree of punishment, there's got to be a different. If there's a degree of punishment in the slave sense, or in the powers Jesus gives, and then there's got to be a different degree. And this is why specifically, I don't go the interpretation of that people will be forgiven at judgment. I go the interpretation that people will be judged, without Christ, people will be judged for sins. But I don't think that people will have the same judgment in the same time of judgment. And I think that there'll be people who'll be there forever, and the people who won't. And then once their judgment is done, that they'll be punished from the sin, and then what's the conclusion is that they'll go to the Father. Because there's no third well. as heaven or hell. So if people do get different degree of punishment, and that would obviously include time, then it's like, well, then if that includes time, well, then there's then that's then there's the and then it's like, well, if it includes time, what is, where do they go? They can't, you know, and that's the thing which I think of is like, well, if they are, if they don't get the same punishment, they got to go somewhere, and that's why I go the idea that people will be punished. No one's going to get away from it, and they'll be punished for their sins. They'll be punished for their disobedience. But I don't think that they'll get. I don't think that they'll get the same punishment. And I don't think they'll have the same degree of punishment, and that would be good. I just think it's just factual, basic. No, it could be one, but yeah. And then obviously I saw this guy's famous Christian. He gets his name, but he said he gave the idea of the interpretation that when the reason why God's crying wiping tears away from the eyes is because because you'll see your family and that go, you never see them again, and that's why he's wiping tears from their eyes. But that's not true, because there's the problem with that idea. One, people cry for different reasons, and when you Jesus, people, you're going to be crying, your pain's going to go away. So people cry for different reasons. It's not specifically tied to it's not specifically tied to revelation. Two, I'm not saying it's not, because I'm saying that yes, people will cry because they're going to see people go away. And now, because I wrestled with this, and I'm like myself, well, what's the main disagreement? Will come with disagreement of this. And if you go the idea that people are going to cry because they're going to see loved ones pass away, and it'd be like, oh, well, then this idea is wrong, because why would they cry, if they're not, they're going to come out with Christ? Well, then it's like, well, that's not true. People still cry in a life sentence. Because people cry even though they don't get life in prison. People still cry. It's the aspect of the person you love. That's the thing. People cry because of the aspect. People cry because of what? If you have family and you go somewhere, you're not going to spend time, you will cry. But it's not because you're not going to see them again. It's because it's going to be a long time. You miss them, and that's why I think what's going to happen. I think that people will cry, even though they're going to see them again. People will still cry because they're not going to see them for a long time, and that's the point. They're not going to see. They're not going to see these. They're not going to see the loved ones for a long time, and they will cry because of it. And that's why Jesus will wipe every tear away from people's faces. Yeah, that's what. And so that's what I mean. Like, and I'm not saying you shouldn't take it. You shouldn't take the Hebrew interpretation completely over the English. Or I'm not saying you should stop saying this. I'm saying that when you see the English, look at the Hebrew, and because sometimes the Hebrew does mean what the English means. Don't get me wrong, it does. There are cases where the English means what the Hebrew means, that's why, and that's when it's like, and that's what I'm saying, that you shouldn't say the English is invalid. You should look at the English and look at the Hebrew, and if the Hebrew matches the English completely, you can take the Hebrew, you can take the English over the Hebrew, but don't take the Hebrew set in Kali. Be like, okay, the Hebrew means that, but if the Hebrew can mean the otherwise, like forever and eternity in judgment, you should look at the English and take the English consideration, but also the Hebrew, and be like, okay, the Hebrew means this, English means this. I want to take both. The thing is that the Hebrew has a better is going to have a better understanding of what God, Jesus said and revealed at that time. That's the main point. I'm not saying it's invalid. I'm saying that I'm saying that you got to look at it and understand it and accept and husband and consider the should I make it? I think you make. I saw. I am gonna make it. We're gonna do like this, and we're gonna put over here, and we're gonna get some more of these. If I could, I would have like these light blocks where they're invisible. But I don't have that, so this is what I use. So we're gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I will look at it at night time and see where the light is. But so then this here's gonna be the farm. So we're gonna do. What do we need? I'll give him. No, I'm actually just gonna put the thing in the water and that first, and then I'll put the. Yeah, and then I'll put the actual thing in. I'm gonna put a light in there. I'm gonna put yeah, yes, and then we're gonna get a what is it? Now this here, I really don't know. I'm probably gonna make it a section 4, maybe. Do I want to do a section 4? Not really. What do I really want to put here? Trying to think. A lot of them. You do that and that. There you go. First off, we'll probably put more pumpkins because we'll probably put more pumpkins. We'll put one here, 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 here. I'll put one here, one here, and then I'm going to make a little dirt patch here for thing. Again, it's not. Again, these villages are not meant to be big. They're not. They're meant to just be sort of. What do you call it? They're meant to be outside villages. Oh wait, hold on. Actually, no, it's fine. There we go. And then from there, I'll put something there. So I want to get this. I want to just go the same height as this. Four. So what? No. Yeah, it's 4. I'm like the most longest whole thing is probably going to be the wars for the kingdom. The kingdom's gonna be pretty big. Like I'll do fields like this, but instead of having 3 different crops in this, I'll have the exact same crop, and I'll have 4 fields like this, and then another 4 fields. And the idea is that all these what I'll do like this, and then the 4 fields will have the same crop, and then I'll do another 4, and they'll have the same. I'll have a different crop, but all each field will have the same crop. And the reason why the idea of that is that the kingdom's gonna have a lot of villages, so it needs to field a lot of villages, so it needs a lot of food. But yeah, so why do I put like again 6 in here? So yeah, that's perfect. So it is raining at my place. Well, not my mum's place. It is kind of annoying. I'm not gonna lie. I had some things I was going to do today, particularly my bike. I'm going to ride my bike today, but it seems like I can't do that. It seems like the father has said, no, you're not doing that today. Right, now we need that. Oh, need 3 up. Again, I won't probably put lights outside here because I don't need it. I do have, if I do want to change survival, I do have to go back and change it as well on my realm settings as well. We will probably do a survival gameplay series on this. Once I've done the kingdoms. So what I will do is we'll do a survival session play where we just play this. Once we get the world completely done, we'll play it on survival, and then that's what we'll do, and then we'll loot, and then all our loot we have on survival, we will just leave in a chest. But we won't specifically build. Well, if we are going to build like things on survival, I will build, it on creative. Specifically, if it involves extending the kingdom, like if we want to build another massive kingdom or village, we do that. But if it's just like a small house or something like that, because the thing is, I want to make this I want to make this world feel alive. That's what we want to do. So that's my main idea I want to do is to make this village to feel alive as much as possible. Well, not village, the world. And I think having 5 villages in at least between 4 maps, 1 kingdom between the 4 maps, and 5 outposts will make it feel so much more alive. I'm just gonna leave this, to be honest. Oh, actually, you know what? I can just put them down without the coarse dirt. I think that'd be nicer. Well, actually, no. What are we doing? Wheat. Where's the wheat? Here we go. I'm gonna make a wheat pile. No, that one. No. I'm gonna use this wheat pile because in survival mode, I know you can turn this into, normal wheat. I don't know about the, other one. So they're gonna have a nice big wheat pile. I think. Yeah, that's nice. There we go. Nice. Yes. We're gonna bring this back a bit more. Yes. All right, cool. Now, yeah, it does feel a bit empty, doesn't it? Well, again, this is. I think it needs a tree. That's what I think it needs. Yeah, I think it needs a tree. But we're just going to get the villagers in now. So we're going to put one window in each house. And we're going to just put a. We need wood, which is going to be this, obviously. No. Need that. And then we need to get rid of this. And we need to do. And then we need. What do we need again? That. And we need this chest. And it's no, I know it's not much, but at the same time, it's like I'm not really worried about that. So we got chest, crafting table, and a bed. We could put 3 beds in, but then again, I don't really. Oh dear, I'll put 2 beds in one, and then well, in some of them, and then I'll put maybe, and then I'll put 1 bed in some of them as well. Then we need a door, which we're just gonna put a door. Boom. Cool. Yeah. We need next to us. Yeah, we're gonna put window here. We're gonna do flooring. We'll do 1 bed in here. Again, these houses are sort of. I don't know what to do. I might just go along and just do it with one of these with things like that. I think it'd be a lot nicer. Yeah, I like that a lot. We're gonna go back to what they got for us. Do that. We do need a lantern up here though for light because we don't want the any mobs spawning in, so we don't get zombies and that, and then just keep going one. So we get painted lantern. Perfect. It's not what you call it, the biggest. It's not the most flashiest interior. The reason why is because it's not the main village, and so I'm not going to put as much detail into the detail. These are farmers, so but in real life, farmers don't really care for things. So do. I'm an idiot. I forgot to put lantern each of the I'm missing some basic things. I'll do that one side for the village. So now I'm just gonna go. Hold on, let me first just block this off because I don't want collision getting out. So we're gonna do boom. So then we need a bell, which we're gonna put right. No, we're gonna put right here. A bell. That one has a lot more detail into it, but I think I always say it looks a lot more detail because they put a little pond in there. So which um, oh my goodness, which I've helps a lot. Where's come off it? Why am I so blind? Oh my goodness. Yeah. Alright. I'm gonna get a bit more bone meal. What's the bone meal? Where's the bone meal? Oh, a really cool idea. It's gonna be really cool. I need mossy carpet first of all. I also need bone meal. I need villager egg. I've got a really cool idea. So if we do it right, and do that and do this. Nope. Nope. Maybe it's a block. Maybe I need a block. What if I do a block? Nope. Doesn't work. No. That's so annoying, bro. I want to be a moss in the can. I don't know what fine. We're not doing that, guys. We're never doing that. Right. Now, villagers. You do one in here. One, two. Oh no, I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to get rid of that villager. I don't want queen here. I want all farmers. Good. And then one, two. Good. And then I'll go around and add. Now I'm going to go and add all other composters. So I've got one out there, so we need one in here. we need 2 in here somewhere. 1, 2. We don't need to put 1 in one house. I want to put 1 in here though, because we got 1 outside. We don't need another. Yeah. 1, 2. And I think we just got this house. Yeah. 1. There you go. So now all houses should have farmer ones, and then that's it. Now I don't know what I want to do. I'm just gonna see something if I do this. What will it do? Are you the what are you? Pallets. It's fine. Doing that, and then I need to get the bone meal out of my inventory and my carrots because I want to do something. Now I've got that. I want to get this grass and all through here. And I want to feel like this whole thing here is being overgrown with grass. And it's a really flowering this section really close. There we go. Cool. It doesn't make really a lot of sense, but what I might do is, oh no, it does make sense. Okay. Yeah. See, that's good. It's a bit big for the small ones, but I think it's fine. Now we're gonna do. We're probably gonna put in our flower field there. Probably a bunch of flowers here. Or probably just a bunch of grass. I think a bunch of grass would do. And then we're gonna put flowers over there. I'm gonna split this into 2, and we're gonna put 2 more plots here. I think that's what we're gonna do. So now I'm just gonna go along and do this. Do this. And here's the other guy. There's some threads that I just don't love the double tool glass, but I'm like, what do you mean? If I understand if it's in like kingdoms, I'll probably won't have really like double tool glass in kingdoms, because it would be well kept, it's well kept, manicured and that, American and that. But I'm not gonna have it in like villages because it doesn't really quite make any sense when you got like, you know, like this I get because they're, grown flowers and that. This I don't mind, but I was thinking of bringing all this all on there, but I think it's just too much. So yeah, but I'm thinking about just making a bit, but I think, having this down here would be nice because I'm thinking about putting the next part. I'm thinking about that there is probably going to go to our place, which is going to go along this path here and around here and along there. So this path will follow this thing around. That's what the path will follow. So I'm not too concerned about that. So yeah, now we just need to figure out a path to split this off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this actually. What do we have here first off? We have carrot and wheat, but what other things that we do that have we might want to use? So we might going to use, we need a hoe, what am I doing? We need the hoe, we need water. Now we need seeds. What seeds do we want to use? I'm thinking this ground like this and this, not that, and this. then we're gonna come here with the thing. No, there we go. Okay. Now we just need to do. We just need to go with like 4 along across. So we need to go with obviously the lowest. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're gonna go here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're gonna go again here to do that. Clean nitrogen. And we're gonna do this. I don't know what this is. We should actually check out, guys. It might go a bit weird without realizing it. Where's it? There it is. Oh my goodness, I hate when it does that. No. How long does this take to grow? Oh. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Cool. Oh, yeah, garlic seeds on there. Yeah. I remember playing one of these in the old world. Garlic. But yeah, like this is what I love. That, it does stuff that I can't really customize. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, and then, okay, we're probably going to go and split it off here. So we'll get half and we'll do 1, yeah, 2, Oh my goodness, the spider just did that. Oh my goodness. Oh, oh my goodness, I'm so. Oh my goodness, I'm so dumb. That's why it's the spider because I'm. Oh my goodness, I'm so upset with myself. Holy, I don't know why it wasn't working. It wasn't the thing. It was the. Oh my goodness, I hate the spiders, man. I just was. But doesn't really. Good God, burn, burn, damn, study. Let me do one more philosophy. It's going to be small but done. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do this. Good, and then let me go down 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me do. Yeah. Do 4 across here. And that. Then we should go 1, 2, 3, 4. Do that. And then should we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Do this. And then we're just going to do something like gold, that, do that. And then we're going to do this. So this is done. How are they dying when there's... Oh my goodness. There's no life. That's why they're dying. There's no water in the food tower. Okay. Alright, then... we need to go across all of this. 4. Then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then here. There we go. I think that's the best solution for this. That's going to get from this. I need 1 out here. And then I need 1 about there. Okay. And then this one is done. Can I see a version? I've not seen a version yet. I would always wish you see them on creative, but I just think that they just don't spoil on creative. The biggest I don't get, I swear I put that up, but then it doesn't, work. make sure everything's filled up. I don't know, I gotta do this. That's one. Good. Okay. Yeah, so they're all farmers. Now, I don't. No, I'm gonna do it because they will. There's a chance they will spawn, and I don't want that to happen. So we're gonna real quickly come over here. Why is that? Pick up some of that. Nope, some of that. Some of that. And just put it on the roof, just in case, so you don't miss things spawn. I don't think they will, but I'm just gonna put like one or two bits. I really need in the middle, to be fair. But, you know, it's always good to have it. I do this with every building. If I could get a light block where, you know, where there's a light block where it's invisible, oh man, I'll get that on so bad. I'll put it on. I don't think I can get it. It's just a bit fun. So this field is bigger than I thought. So, could do this. Split this up into two. Put it here. Put a flower here. Yes. And then put a tall. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Got it. I know what I'm gonna do. I know what I'm gonna do, guys. Because again, there is a ton of food. There's like a massive of carrots in that, so you know they don't really need that sort of. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, the other village doesn't have that much food, doesn't it? I know it does, but I split the field like this here. Actually, when I'm making this, go a fit ball better with this here, making this full. Actually, yeah, I want to do that. I was gonna actually, yeah, I'm changing mine. I am because if we have this all a field of crops, it will match better with everything else around. So it will be a lot more like where's night vision. And if you are worried about things jumping, as long as there's no, you know, things which are odd on the ground, they won't bother to jump at all. Alright, can I get into your house? I will put probably outpost close to them. So not putting the outpost, it's a strategic outposts are meant for a strategic barracks sort of thing where that um the outpost is where there's the spotted enemies, but the difference between a tower and an outpost is that towers is just made to put archers in and shoot. They're not made to you know, attack. They're just made to look out and warn. Outposts are made for both. Outposts are made for lookout and attack. And that's why they're so big. It's meant to have a where it has at least a decent sized army. So that means if there is actual another army, like privileges have at least, I think, naturally in the sky around 6 or 8 privileges. So we just need to make sure that there's at least 50, well, 25 villages in the outposts, which are all barracks in that, or soldiers, sort of thing. Well, at least pick a thing which actually looks like a soldier. If I could get one where it does. Need to go crossways. This is actually quite hard on the forward. So let's actually do this. So we need to go 4 here. one, oh no, 4, 1, 2, that's 4, yeah. We're going to do that, and then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, come here. Yeah, that's what they're doing. So we'll try and put. But I didn't realise. But we'll try and put the hello. Why can't I group them? Ah, that's annoying. See that? It's just there. Yeah, that's annoying. We just use these. That's really weird. Oh, that's really annoyingly weird. Like, let's use this. Oh yeah, why is it like that? Must be. That's the right downside of these battles. They are a bit glitchy, but they do work. So I'm not disappointed. They do add a lot more to the game. We need 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. Yes. Right. Anything that doesn't get water to, it will just die. Get dry. It used to be Minecraft a long time ago that you didn't need water. You just needed to put the seed in before the actual dirt dries up, and then it stays in there. But they did add that feature. But that's like, but I like it because you can tell over time they've added more features over time. Like now, if there's no seed and water in it, it will die. As you said there, it will die, which is I find really cool. And it shows they put a lot of. You know what I don't get? That people thought Minecraft had a competitor, which I don't get how. Yeah, they thought I had a competitor. Um, it's like it is. Like when I looked at it, I'm like, it's cool, but it's like, you know, Minecraft is better in general. It's got way more stuff. You know, you can build really cool things. I'm also pretty sure I've turned mod griefing off, so the like creepers when they blow up, they won't blow up the ground. When um Endermen spawn, they won't pick up things. I know the downside of it. This is why people don't do it. Is that it does there are some farms which require bulb feeding on touching work. But I'm sorry, I don't. I honestly don't really care enough about farms to the point where that I'd rather build a massive build and know that mobs can't destroy it. The most annoying thing is when you build a massive build and then you have freaking creep and the man take blocks away. Most annoying thing. Most annoying.
It's gonna pull out two bowl with it. We're just gonna get. No, we'll just put it. I'll just skip this to one out. I don't know. It's not gonna hurt. Yes. Right, we're nearly there.
But yeah, I'm doing this and then we'll go back through these spots and work out the best idea for water spots. Oh, sleep again. So like something like that could be our post. So if I was making that post, the walls would be thicker. There'll be at least about 4 wide. There has to be about 5 wide. Um, you know, the walkway has to be at least 3 wide. Well, no, our post it can be at least 2 wide, so it can be 4 wide. Our post would be skinny out. Would be skinnier than natural. Yeah, is that our post? Our posts really don't have actually much. What do you call it? Don't really have much. They're not designed to fight army. They're designed to defend off the way or slow down army. They're not designed to defeat. So the wars wouldn't exist. They wouldn't be. Oops.
We'll actually complete this section off. So we need a 1 water. We'll do 1 water there. So we need this section. We need to think of water here. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4. So it needs to be at least around here. No, around here it needs to be. And then, so we do 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we just come in with water. I think that's the water section right here. Oh no, we can just do this. Yeah. And then we can go. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay, so that's 2, 3. Oh wait, no. Actually, I can do that over there. Idiot. That's 4. That's actually the proper spot. Okay, so that side's done, and then we'll finish off this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we do. We'll complete this section off here. there. As I said, and then these two. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we go like this. 4, 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I suppose just yelling out for chicken. Okay, he's got that bit over there, and then this field's done, and then we'll split it up flower field, and then I think we will do like a just quick tour around.
And yeah, see how it looks. First off, we're gonna also fix this out. Let me make sure these dips up. I don't like that. I'm actually gonna do this. Okay, no, we're gonna do something like this. Like that. We're gonna do something like this. Now, I think that's it, right? Yep. Alright, so I think we're going to go and have a good old walk. I think we can wait. Just going to make sure everything's really good. Alright.
So, we go to sleep. Just go to sleep. So we're going to do a quick walk through. So, you know, well, if you so this is so so this is the right, so this is the main village. So we got a lot of house in here with something like this or just like that. This is a marketplace here. This is a obviously something where you can eat. This is the armory barrack sort of thing over here. We've got the barn. I'm not going to go much detail on all this stuff. I've already showed you before. You get the sheep here. This is the area they get the carpet wool. This is the pig area. And then you got again these houses, small houses. You get a little stable section, horses. Come down here. This goes down here. You come down here. You got these fields. You got this path here, which goes down here, which gets into this section. I don't know what I want to do there. Probably nothing. But this here, this is a flower field. You got these different flowers. You got another type of flower. This is another field, which is this is the berries. This is a good old not a stable, a horse buy section. So you can buy horses from this guy. Well, not from me, but it's meant to pay that. Then this is the horses here. And then you also got some carts at the back here. You got this path here which goes through these fields. And then you can, which goes up around here and wraps around this. Like this. And then you got this up here. You got two flat fields up here. This here is your overgrown grass area. You got this field here, field there. And I forgot this section. This section is gonna be going to be a play. I could make it fully grass again. Wouldn't be a bad idea to be honest. But I don't think I want to. I think putting this here would be a nice, because you got flowers here. So I think this makes sense because the idea is that the reason why I did this here is because I wanted this imitate this bit here. So seeing if I was to stop there, I'm probably gonna make this grass. So actually make this without grass. I don't think they need any more flowers. I think when you have too much flowers, especially seeing this is like not this is a village area. It's not meant to be the most looked after. So I don't think it's necessary for it to. So just do this. I will go back to the name. I'm just legit just running over. I'm also trying to make sure that I grow some of this in grass too high. Only because it's very busy, isn't it? Okay, cool. So then you come here, got another overgrown section. Then this is the village again, overgrown, not being looked after for the farmers, but basically so yeah. So this village and go little carrot field here for this guy. So yeah. So I don't from here we're probably gonna make another one. I don't know which way, but I'll do that off screen. As I said, um, I don't want to build the kingdom now because kingdoms are designed to take your time, designed to think about it, and if you just rush in, it's not going to go well. And two, also the um, kingdom's going to have a lot of um, farms outside because of how much. But we'll do that later. What we're going to try and do is the kingdom we're going to make districts, and once we do the districts, I'll do that off screen. I'll do the districts off screen, and then from there I'll do the war. Then from there we'll do the markup with war districts, and then from there I'll build all of it on camera, and then from there we'll do then I'll do the next district, the outside district is just going to be for the farms, and then from there once I do that I'll build the farms on screen. But that's going to be yonks. That's going to take a bit, but before we do that we got to make sure we build the villages. So, yeah, I like this village. I do gotta say it's hard to pick between them because they have all its quirks. They are pretty. All I like them all both. So no, other than that, no. We need a lecture. I want to give myself something to you guys. Oh yeah. So I thank you for watching. If you do enjoy this, please let me know. If you enjoy this slow build, if I can, I will do it. I will make a video, and I'll try and get. I'm making the part, so I'll get all the recordings on my YouTube channel, get them all, tape them, and then um, probably the problem is I don't have a thing. So what I do is for the future, what I do is once I get myself a proper setup and get everything for this world, convert it to a Mojo on the world with the add-ons. From there, what I'll do is I will get a thing where I can have a camera. So what I build, it records, and then I'll record, and then basically once, or basically I'll put all into one whole thing. Yeah, so this is what I mean. If you look at this one's got a bit more detail into it. This one here is a bit different. It does, again, this is a lot more smaller, I realize there. The houses are only too wide. I really wish I made it too wide. But again, every village is different. So I'm not too concerned about that. Yeah, these are too wide too. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that. The reason why I did them too wide is because I wanted to have bigger thing. And I do have these ones here a bit wide at the back, which I didn't realize until now. Yeah, it's kind of annoying, isn't it? I want to really change this real quick. I've got people on my mum's property lining their glass, and I think it's really too much. Shouldn't even be on it. Maybe that. I think it's a chainsaw. I don't know if you've heard, but of the war between Iran and Israel and that. It's gone pretty well. I wouldn't say it's gone well for America and that. I would say. These are unfinished. I thought I finished these off. They don't have it. Don't have it. But yeah. So they have. It's going well. It sucks that civilians are dying, but you can't do much about that. It's war. It happens in war, which is. But anyway. Okay.
But yeah, so these are 2 wide. So I'm glad I did the other ones 3 wide. Because again, this village is a richer village. It is a richer village. The reason why it's richer is because if you think about it, the other village has like 2 big buildings. This has 1, 2, 3, 4 big buildings, 5 storage things, a dock, boats. So this village is richer. Is richer. So, and that's why they have again quite more bigger fields, where they are richer. This village over here instead is not. But so if you really enjoy watching it, let me know. I am gonna try and play get this film. So I will do some more Fortnite and like I said, this here I will have to go main reason why it takes a lot because I have to be aware of the buildings for these parts. And then I gotta do all the terrain off the what whether do off camera. I gotta do all that off camera before I even start. Like this village which I did, I did all the terrain off camera. I did all the wall off camera and stairwell to it off camera. Well, actually, I've been right. So everything I did the wall and stairwell off camera. I did this off camera, but I did mainly most of the terrain off camera. It does take a long time. So as I said, this will only come once. Right. But yeah, I like it. The only reason why I like it because it makes the villages feel alive, and I'm starting to get that feel. But again, I know it's just so big where it doesn't really matter because it's like. But yeah, so I do thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.